Okay, welcome back to McCarthy Performance. We're grinding some valves today, some real basic information with my Sioux valve grinder. It's a 680 model. I'm using the green wheel on this, which is this green wheel is primarily for titanium, but I like it quite a bit, so I don't really take it off. It works pretty good on just about all the valves that I do, stainless and everything. It works really well. Um, of course, when you're dressing the wheel, you always want to put a sock. That's what this is. Some old tube socks. I cut them down. I throw them up on there. It keeps the grit out of the collar or the collet or the chuck or whatever you want to call it, to keep the grit out of it. Now this is adjustable, and there's most all valve grinders have an adjustable shaft behind it, and you want to adjust it so the valve is as far in as you can get it without having it hang down here. Of course, you want to make sure that this is a used valve, you want to polish this or wire wheel it so there is nothing on this, because this is where you want to grab it. Okay, now on the adjustable stop in the back, that's a V, so that's going to nest the stem area. So you want to make sure this is adjusted right. You just don't want to pull the valve out, have it hold on to the chuck or a collet, depending on what you're using. Probably with a collet you could get away a little bit more, but I recommend you always adjust the back stop on that, and that's going to nest it and it's going to hold it straight. Okay, so we're going to adjust the wheel, because every time you change the angle, you should adjust the wheel. Every time the amount of valves that you need to adjust the wheel, that's entirely depends on how much you're taking off the valve. But usually this wheel, I only have to adjust it about every 8 valves. I like to adjust it with the oil on. Okay, so we're gonna take a light cut off the wheel. I'm gonna take the wheel dresser, and I'm gonna turn it. I'm gonna lock it down, because with this model, that's what you have to do. Okay, you don't want to take too much off your wheel. And I like to dress it slow, and then I come back and I come across the wheel. If you dress it really fast, you'll have a more aggressive finish on the wheel. You want to make sure that you cover this, because we just didn't. But I took a little bit off of it. It isn't going to hurt it, but you should always make sure that you have this on there. For sake of demonstration purposes, I just showed you what not to do. Yeah, it's one of them deals, you know. I work better when I'm not trying to record. Okay, now this is a used valve. So we're gonna make sure there's no burrs or nothing on it. It feels smooth, everything's good. Okay, you wanna, of course, if you're gonna cover everything, you wanna make sure that when you're grinding that nothing gets in the chuck. So I wore out a lot of these, and I've made little deals to block or to dam the grit from going in here, but you can buy these. This is a 3/8, so it's a little bit big, and I just put a little Chevrolet oil ring seal on the shaft, and it keeps most of the grit out. So we're gonna, I should have thought about where the video camera is and trying to get a good picture of everything, but we're good. We're right there. That's a good place to be. So we're going to back the grinder up, and we'll start grinding. got the camera right where I'm normally at. Okay, I can hear it. And you know, I thought I'd try to grind some valves and show you, but the camera is right kind of in the way of where I normally look to see where I'm grinding. And then I adjust the micrometer on the feed, and I got a little zero with a little bit of paint on it so I can see it a lot better, because on this particular machine it's really hard to see. So we'll call that 0. You want to walk across the wheel, you want to use the whole wheel and bring it back slowly. You know, moving the handle back and forth for the table, it's not like shifting gears on a car. You don't have to be slamming it back and forth. You want to make sure you can adjust the stop on the bottom of the machine so you don't crash into the stem or anything, but you just don't have to be a gorilla about it, and you'll be fine. Okay, so we'll back this off. We'll take a look here. Sorry about banging the camera, but it's just one of them deals. Okay, now we got it all ground. Now this is 30 degree on a Pontiac, so, and that's why I keep the green wheel in it. I like the finish that it produces. Okay, so we got something more to do. Try not to knock the into the camera, but you're kind of right in the spot that I'm normally in, so this is kind of a little bit odd for me. Of course, you want to make sure the valve is fully seated. Release the handle and that'll draw the chuck in. Okay, I'm going to feed her in a little bit. I can tell just the way it's running that it's got a little bit of run out to it. Let's say we're just about there. Yep. Of course, when you're grinding them, I like to try to keep them all even and take the same amount off of them. But on a used valve, sometimes that's hard to do because you really don't know who's done what to them when they did it, you know. We're a little bit low on valve oil, grinding oil, but we'll be all right. Anybody that's got one of these 680s, they know that they get old and they get there's O-rings for the screws that set the trough on them. And this trough, all the honing oil runs down it. Well, this one here has either got a crack in the trough or the screw grommets are cracked because this thing is pushes oil all over everywhere, no matter how close or how careful you are with it. But you don't want to feed more than you have to. Just if the wheel is, if you hear it kind of making an in and out noise, it's telling you that the valve is probably not true, and you want to just carefully feed that in until you grind it all out. With these bigger valve stems, you don't have to worry about it too much, but on the little stuff, you can get into some deflection when you're grinding them, and you really got to be careful with that. So that sounds good. So we're gonna back off of that one. We're gonna call that one done. You know, whatever you think about this stuff, obviously I don't do a lot of videos. I kind of learn as I go, and if I learned anything about this, I'd probably put the camera in a different place. But we'll get through it. I'm going to drop some oil out of my other machine here. And well, yeah, we still got some oil coming down though. I don't want to get into getting oil out of my other machine, but sorry about that. You're just gonna have to live with me bumping it occasionally, I guess. Probably not a prime video to watch, but you know, typical McCarthy Performance videos, you know. I'm an engine builder. I'm not a camera guy. I'm trying though. So this one's got a little bit more we got to take off of it, but I think we're just about there. And I just move the table slowly back and forth. And then, you know, you can let it loiter for 1 second. And then, you know, onward and upward. It's like I said, I've got other wheels. But I find that this is just a good all-around wheel, green wheel, and I really like the finish that this puts on. There's really no reason to change it out, so I don't. Every once in a while, I do some titanium valves, and I'll dress it really good. Make sure there's no residue from any stainless or steel valves that I've done. And just leave it in there. It's probably going to last a couple of years. It's been in there for a year already. So when it starts to sound like when you're dressing, it doesn't sound like it's you know, like it's got a hard spot or something in it. Then you should adjust the wheel. If it stops to grinding and you're finding you're putting more pressure to try to cut, and it don't seem to be cutting, and the sound gets louder, usually it's an indication it's time to adjust the wheel. But this is doing a good job, so we're not going to address it. We're not going to address it for the intake. I've got a red marker where 0 is, where pretty much all these are, so I can roll into it and kind of expect to hear an audible cut These valves are old, but this engine sat more than it ever ran, I would believe. And this valve grinder, when I got it, is virtually brand new. It's never seen very many valve jobs. I think I've ground more valves on it than it's ever seen in its lifetime. These valves have got a little bit of run out on them, where it looks like maybe the seats weren't quite as true to the valve as they could be. Hard to say, but I trust this valve grinder more than I trust the old finish on the valve. And I've had some pretty nice valves in this machine and had to touch them up, and they didn't have an excessive amount of run out on them. So usually when I find a valve that's got a excessive amount of run out on the valve face, if it isn't bent, of course, it's usually the valve finish. And just because it's a new valve, don't assume that it don't need to be finished. Some of them are horrible. Okay, we got 3 more valves to do, including this one. And hopefully there's somebody out there that'll get some information from this. Grab some oil out of my other machine. We are getting kind of low, and it's drizzling here. I know guys edit their videos and fast forward them and all that. You're not going to see none of that here because we'll just have to deal with it shortly. I'm going to get a laptop, so we'll get some video editing going on here. But right now I'm just going to let her run. Real time, real deal. Good, bad, and the ugly. Okay, we'll call that good. Now this table is only good to 50 or 45. I've got it striked out for 50 and 55. My old table was, I think this one I only got it striked out to 50, but usually titanium valves are usually on the new stuff, they're usually 50 or 55. So, and there's another one, and there's plenty of margin left, so we're good to go. And these valves are probably better than what you could get now. These things got real chrome on them, real chrome plating on the stem, or the where the guides are, and where the guide would wear on the valve. And these actually are probably some pretty decent valves, which nowadays everything seems to be crap. We'll get into that. Usually for a replacement valve, I mean, if it's a stock engine, I'll go with an OEM replacement valve. But most of the time I try to upgrade to stainless because some of these OEM replacement valves are kind of sketchy at best. But you know, I'd have no problem reusing these valves. They're in very good shape, and I can tell by grinding on them they're not made out of clear cans and tin foil. Okay, I got the intakes all ground. Of course, on the Pontiac, the intakes are 30. I mean, the exhauster got them all ground. They're 45, so I don't have to shut the machine off, but it helps if I'm trying to talk and do the job at the same time. Okay. Should be coming up pretty soon. Go another turn. Coming up on it. We should be hitting the valve face pretty soon. And we are. And I can see the run out on the valve from where it was finding its home, seating itself into the seat. And we'll take a little bit more off of her. I still can see a little spot right there. And you know, we'll get to it. I know my shoulders probably bumped the camera a couple times. Excuse me for that, but it's kind of tight corners in here. Okay, we're gonna call that good. Back her off. Shut her off. She's a little warm up there. So that's grinding valves. Like I said, this machine has a little bit of leakage through this trough here. One of these days I'm gonna seal that up and find out where it's cracked. Yeah, that's it. Just kind of a quick little video of me grinding valves. I guess thanks for watching. We got some more interesting things coming down the line. If you like Pontiacs, we got Pontiacs. Of course, these are Pontiacs. We'll be putting together a Pontiac. We're going to be just got done, of course, with them heads, and we're going to do some Subaru stuff. So if you like Subarus, I'll be doing some Subaru stuff. And we'll be back on the 383 small block pretty soon. Thank you for watching.